Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J Cast. I'm Joel. Joel, if I tell you what's on, it is Sunday 7th of May. This is episode 257. Damon, how are you? How's it all going?
Oh, great. On the side of the world. The sun is shining. Two beautiful, glorious days on the weekend. Now I get to spend some time with my good man, Joel, on the other side of the world, who might not be having the best day.
So, I had been previously recording in my bedroom with the sleeping children, which was working quite well. But then recently, I don't know if it's proximity to the router, but the internet connection went all shit, where there were like massive delays between me and Damon, and that got really frustrating. So now I've moved into the living room, where I'm right next to the router, so I'm not taking any chances here. But my wife, despite being in her bedroom for the last 30 minutes, decided to come out and do some very noisy washing up literally as we were starting to record, which was I know it's a sort of a Super J-Cast tradition for her to sabotage our recordings, but yeah. There we go, a little blast from the past.
There you go, it was right. Got a little awkward for all parties involved. But listen, that's part of the price of doing the world's greatest New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast. The one that...
That's right. I may have wrecked my marriage, and for that, listener, go to redcircle.com/super-j-cast and give some money for the divorce proceedings.
Right. Or at least a trial separation. I mean, let's not jump into divorce. Yes, I agree. Listen, it's the price. The price we pay. I just said the price. You get what I'm trying to say here. We're great. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say.
I've got a question for you,
yes,
Damon.
Sir.
This is a question from Gig, who says, have either of you ever been horngry? Which, of course, is an amalgamation of hungry and horny. So have you ever seen some food that's so delicious, like maybe a yummy pizza, that has actually caused you to get sexually excited?
I had a steak that looked like a vagina before, but that's very raw. Let me think. Food? Nah. I mean, I love food. Anybody can guess that.
No, but being sexually attracted to food is weird, isn't it? That's only the sort of thing a fucking lunatic would say.
I'm gathering you're steering the boat in a certain direction. I don't know.
No, it was just an innocent question from from our Discord.
I can
loyal listener of the show. Apropos of nothing.
Here's the thing too. I don't think I've ever. Well, I have, but it's completely overrated. The idea of like food involved in your sexual activities. You know what I mean? Like the people who are like, oh, I'm gonna fucking get whipped cream and lick it off your tits. No, no,
Yeah.
it's gross.
It'd be really messy. You can make the bed all dirty.
Not only that, it's like I don't know. I don't like mixing food with. Like if I'm going to eat an ass, Joel, I just want pure ass. All right. I don't want anything.
Right, we definitely isolate that audio for the soundboard.
I want just the ass. I don't want any accoutrements. I don't want any hollandaise sauce. I just want pure. I want tongue to anus. That's it. That's all I want. If I'm in the mood for it. It's like saying this, Joel.
We've said that for years, Damon. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. If I'm in the mood for a steak, I'm going to have a steak. If I'm in the mood for some drunken noodles, I will get that. If I'm in the mood for some ass, I just want some ass. That felt good to get out in the open.
Good, yeah. I know. I think it's about time we went back to the silly questions. Here's another one. Liam, who is in, I think he's in Japan.
Still?
Says, hi lads. I think so, yeah. Christ. Or maybe, I don't know. Anyway, he says, hi lads, a DDT fan won a tapestry of Yuji Hino that he hung outside his house. My question for you, you must hang one tapestry of a New Japan worker outside your house. Who and where?
I would say, I mean, Liger, obviously, but like I can't. He's not active. Active pro wrestler under the New Japan banner that would be hanging outside of my home.
Doesn't say active. It just says a New Japan worker. I mean, for me, it would be the recent image of Taichi where it appears like he's naked, but for his KOPW belt. I think that's going to be a historic image that is going to endure long in pro wrestling history. So I would hang that. This has got to be outside my house.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think this nice little cottage I'm moving into in the middle of the English countryside. I think that would look really good.
Yeah, or like Peter
plastered over the front of
like
that.
Peter, a butt shot of like Peter. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably go like a Liger thing or something like that, just to so I don't get fucking completely thrown out of my neighborhood. Yeah, that or Doc Gallows swinging his cock, his belt as if it were a cock. Yeah, that would be number 2. Sure.
Let's do one more. No username says, given the recent release of the Bullet Club football shirt, can you please make your starting 11 of New Japan wrestlers in a hypothetical football match? Oh. For example, Leo Rush as a tricky winger instantly came to mind. Or how about Mark Davis as a bruising defensive midfielder?
Yeah.
I will start off. I'll have Hikuleo as the goalkeeper. That seems like a no-brainer for me.
Okay, 7 foot tall. Yeah, sure. Okay. Who else? Oh, we're going back and forth?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I don't know if I'll be able to do the whole thing myself.
Okay, you did the goaltender. I would say, defense. You need some. Here's what you need though. You need some speed, and you need some brawn, and you need the ability to make smart decisions, smart plays. Right? There's no one on the New Japan Pro Wrestling that fits those categories.
All right, I've got another one. I'll have Minoru Suzuki as the psychotic, violent left back.
He's the guy
in the sort of Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, he's the guy that's going to. He's the intimidation. I would say, give me. Well, is he a full-time New Japan guy? I would say, give me Lance Archer back there. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Good shot.
Right.
So we've got Lance Archer at centre back, Suzuki left back. Let's have Kevin Knight at right back, making the overlapping runs down the wing to provide dangerous crosses into the box.
I like that. How about up front? Up front, we need speed, we need skill, correct?
Well, for skill, who better than Zack Sabre Jr.? He's got the height.
Yeah.
He can win balls in the air. Maybe not the most physically intimidating, but I think he's got enough of the techers to give defenders fits. Yeah. So let's have Zack up front.
Okay, I I like that. How about Robbie Eagles up front? Height an issue?
Eagles. I think I would have him more as a sort of a playmaker, a number 8 who sort of he's the creative midfielder pulling all the strings just behind the strikers.
Okay, I like that.
What about Docky as like a sort of tough tackling sort of Rottweiler in the central midfield, snapping at people's heels?
Yeah, I think that's taking out a shin or two. I like that. I do like that.
El Fantasmo, ELP, is like a flashy winger with all his tricks and stepovers and flicks and stuff. You can imagine him doing that.
How about Will? How about Will Ospreay?
Yeah, I've forgotten about Will. He would be sort of like your Erling Haaland, sort of freakishly athletic, talented striker as well. So maybe we're going Ospreay and Zach up
There
front.
you go. Yeah, there we go. So what you're telling me is that we have Team England up front.
No, too many English players. This team's going to
I
be
know.
crap.
It's going to suck. We're never going to win anything. It's never coming home. All right. Yeah. And then I guess, I don't know. Who else who do you think can play the footy? Japan?
I'm just scrolling through the roster page. Jeff Cobb is too big to not put in the team. We've got to get him in there sometime.
I don't even think he knows what a soccer ball is, to be honest with you. I'm going to be truthful. I doubt he's even seen one. Yeah, I mean, who else?
Can we put Show in there? Can we have Show as like a just sort of shithouser to sort of wind up opposition players and get them booked and sent off?
Yeah, I like that. I like that one. Yeah, that's about it. All right.
Yeah, I think we've got a full team there. I wasn't counting.
Yeah,
but
the media.
Well done. Well done, us.
You know what? We should probably do a soccer podcast, a football cup. Yeah, we should do it every Sunday, and we can be like, "Hey, how's Arsenal doing? Not good. All right."
Yeah. Well, luckily we are recording. Arsenal are not due to kick off for another hour and 20 minutes, and we're away at Newcastle, which we're almost certainly going to lose.
Really?
So, yeah, you will be spared me moaning about it during the recording.
Oh, my Lord. Well, the Leafs played this afternoon as well. They are down 2 games to none. They lost both games at home, Joel. How do you do that?
Oh, that's a shame, because last time we spoke, it sounded like they were doing quite well. Have they gone all shit again?
Oh, well, yeah, because they're on to the second round, and now they play Florida Panthers, which a team that I like. I like them a lot. But now I hate them because they're playing the Leafs. Yep, so you hit the reset button, and it's best of 7 once again. And, yeah, we're down 2-0. We had 2 games at home, and we shat all over ourselves like we like to do. But here's the thing, too, though. Like, going down to Florida is hilarious because you get more away team fans than the home team fans, right? Like, you're in Miami. Why the fuck would you sit inside of a cold ice hockey arena? So there's a ton of Leafs fans that, like snowbirds, they go down to Florida, and it's gonna be packed with the Leafs fans. And to the tune of the team set out a rule that they were not going to sell tickets to Canadian addresses. So if you were Canadian, you were not getting a ticket. So all you see are people just scheming ways to get to tickets and get in the building. So it'll be packed with Leafs fans, and we usually do well there. So fingers crossed. We need 2. We need 2. So let's see what happens.
Yes, hopefully you'll have more success than Arsenal have had in recent weeks. Let's move on to talk about Shin-Nihon Pro Wrestling. Just a little bit of news here. We have the card released for the Resurgence show in California, the Long Beach Water Pyramid. So we will give you a more detailed preview closer to the time, but I'll just read the card for you and get your immediate reaction to that. So we've got couple of kickoff matches, Alex Coughlin against Christopher Daniels and the DKC against Bateman. Then we have, opening the card, is the Strong Women's Championship Tournament first round, where we've got Mercedes Monet against Stephanie Vaquer. I'm sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. Then the second semi-final, which is Momo Kogo against Willow Nightingale. Then we got Badu Tito and Zack Sabre Jr. against Barbaro Cavanario and Virus. We have a street fight between Fred Rosser and Juice Robinson.
Okay,
the
terrific.
Strong Openweight Championship. Strong Openweight Championship rematch with Hikuleo defending against Kenta. And we have Rocky, Ishii, and Okada against Wheeler Yuta, John Moxley, and Shota Umino. Then we have the United States Championship number one contenders tournament semi-final with Hiroshi Tanahashi against Will Ospreay. So the winner of that will go on to face Lance Archer at Dominion. And the main event will be the NJPW Strong Women's Championship tournament final, which will probably be, it's definitely going to be Mercedes Moné against either Momo Kogo or Willow Nightingale. So what do you think of that card?
You know what? My first impression was to just fucking hand wave. It's actually not that bad. And it's pretty good, don't you think? It's not bad. I would give it like a 6 or a 7. Right? Am I out of my mind?
Yeah, I think for me the big attraction is Ospreay's comeback match.
Right.
And Ospreay versus Tanahashi, I think, will be a tremendous match. I'm just curious about the positioning and having this Strong Women's Championship final as the main event. So you can't argue with putting Mercedes Moné in the main event, but she's going to be wrestling against someone with very little name recognition, especially as far as the New Japan audience goes. I mean, I suppose if it's Willow Nightingale, then AEW watchers would be familiar with who she is. I'm not. I've not seen any of her work. I've heard she's good, so I'm sure the match will be very good. But it's just I'm not criticizing it because I'm frightened of the Mercedes Moné fans and don't want them to attack me. But,
right.
Curious that they've decided to main event that over Tanahashi Ospreay, if this is actually the correct match order.
Yeah. I'm going to be truthful. I don't necessarily have any problem with it. Especially on these US shows. Right? I mean, that's the reason why you're paying big bucks for Monet, pardon the pun, is for situations like this. So hopefully it's a needle mover. Do we have any idea what kind of gate we're looking at? What kind of are we looking at a something that will be all in at Wembley? No, we're not.
I see. Unlikely. I can ask on the Discord. I don't know how are tickets doing for Resurgence,
Yes.
and hopefully we'll have some news back for you later on the podcast.
Thank you very much. But it's not a bad show. I mean, seriously, to get a singles match between Will Ospreay and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, again, those singles matches don't necessarily grow on trees. That's special. I think that's a treat for everyone. That multi-man tag with Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, and who are they going against?
So that is against Rocky, Ishii, and Okada. So, of course, that's 2/3 of the current Never Six-Man champions, but the other third of that is taking part in the US Championship number one contenders tournament.
Correct. Man, Rocky Romero sliding in those US shows like no one's fucking business. He's the new Delirious. He finds a way to get on that fucking show main event. Good for him. You know what? He's earned that. He's earned that right. He's earned the right to fucking just hop right on in the main event. Yep. Yeah, he's paid his dues.
Yeah, creative control.
Yes.
You do it, Rocky.
Go Dusty on us. Go ahead. Go Dusty Rhodes on us. All right. Not bad. What else we got here?
Well, let's go straight to Dontaku then. So we had Wrestling Dontaku from Fukuoka, the Fukuoka Convention Center. So it was a announced sellout of 4,489. So this is lower than it usually is for that venue, but apparently it was because of a stage and entrance setup, which was due to the Stardom show the following day. So either way, I mean, it's a sellout. So Shinahon is back. The battle is over. We have won. Well done. So excellent. That's just proof, if proof were needed, that Sanada is a top main event level drawer and is going to be raking in the cash for New Japan with his glorious championship reign. The first match here, so this is something that we had discussed in depth. The kickoff match, the 5-minute time limit gauntlet thing, the Young Lion consecutive battle match for the chance at the NJPW World TV title and winning money for Yakiniku. So this was Yohei Oiwa, and he needed to beat Oleg Boltin and Oscar Loiba and Yuto Nakashima in 3 5-minute matches in order to get all those things. Not only, Damon, did they not broadcast this match on New Japan World, this was only for Japanese viewers, but Oiwa drew in a 5-minute time limit draw with Nakashima, then a 5-minute time limit draw with Boltin, and then lost to Oscar Loiba in 2 minutes 33 seconds via Boston Crab. So he had 0 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. What's the point of that?
You know what? That was the point of it. You know what? That's ballsy. I actually applaud New Japan for that. Because A, it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, the guy just fucking fought 2 different guys who are fresh as, a daisy, drew, and then lost to the freshest guy of them all, right? I have no problem with the results, and in fact, I applaud it because the usual, would be, okay, he pins the first guy, he squeaks by the second guy, and then the third guy comes in all fresh and just pounds the fuck out of him, and then he finds a way, slip on a banana, he gets the 3, and everybody goes home eating fucking delicious meats and a smile on their face. They didn't do that. They did the absolute opposite, which, trust me, I think that's A, it's ballsy, and B, it's the right thing to do. I applaud them to have the guts to do that. I really do. I think they could have done the easiest thing, but they didn't. They did the hard thing. So I'm going to leave you with that thought and this piece of advice.
This man got the fucking balls.
There you go.
You're going to be hearing that a lot today. I made that one early this afternoon. I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said there, David, but they could have at least put it on New Japan World. It would have been nice to actually see this play out with my eyes, but there you go. You can't have everything as a New Japan fan. Let's move on to the first match that we were actually able to watch, which was Toriano, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto defeating Dick Togo, Sho, Yujiro, and Evil. So Yoshihashi pinned Dick Togo after 3 minutes 37 seconds with a Shoto. Not really much to say here, apart from the fact that House of Torture officially insert themselves into the tag title match at Dominion, which is now a 3-way match between Aussie Open, Bishamon, and House of Torture. And also, a little caveat here, Evil has a new t-shirt that proclaims him the real World Heavyweight Champion, which we should all be very scared about. But
3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they've managed to ruin that the tag title match.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Functionally, they did the same thing last year, didn't they? Where they had... who was it? It was Khan and Cobb versus Bishamon, and then Chase and Farley were inserted into the match. Yeah. And they won the tag titles, which I think was to sort of get people remembering, oh yeah, remember Chase and Farley? They're actual wrestlers. They're actually New Japan wrestlers, and gave them the sort of reasoning to put them into the G1 Climax. So I'm slightly terrified that they might do the same thing here. And of course, we're not going to do our full preview of Dominion here, but be warned, this could well be a guerrilla tactics vehicle to have Yujiro back in the
handwriting is on the wall.
Oh,
the handwriting is on the wall. I guess I'm like 3 minutes. They proved what you can do in 3 minutes. But imagine being a guy like Sho or even Yo, or fuck it, even like Yoshihashi. 3 minutes you got. You got 3 minutes, and getting paid to do it. I mean, I can't think of a better deal, right? You're in an 8-man tag match, so even under normal circumstances, you're probably doing less than you would. Not probably, you are doing less than you would in a singles match if you were booked that night, right? You're in an 8-man tag, so you got a million other guys willing to do the hard stuff, so to speak. But the hard stuff is only lasting 3 minutes. Kind of like my sex life. 3 minutes. So there you go. Love it. Good job. Good work if you can get it.
I was going to do the sex joke as well, but you beat me to it there. So the hive minds of the Super J Cast. So that kind of bled into the second match, which was Great O'Khan, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis defeating Kosei Fujita, Shane Haste, and Mikey Nichols. 5 minutes, 28 seconds. So Great O'Khan defeated Fujita with the Subaru Uzora styled Sheep Killer / Luna. And yeah, again, not a huge amount to say about this one, although it was notable for Great O'Khan picking up a win. I'm not sure if he's been heated up for something in particular, but it does feel, with all these young lions returning and being given storylines, of course, we've got a lot of stuff going on with Shota and Ren Narita and Yota Tsuji. Great O'Khan feels a bit lost in the shuffle, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. It's been a while since we've seen him challenge for any type of title, or at least it feels that way. I couldn't tell you the fucking last time he would challenge for a title. And he's kind of lumbering around in tags, and yeah, it does feel like he's a little bit lost in the shuffle. Maybe he was getting a little bit of a big head with his good deeds, right? Maybe the locker room was kind of like, fuck it, I got to hear this story again. We get it. You saved her.
And the fact that he's constantly tweeting about having sex with sex workers, maybe that's something that the company
frowning
is like,
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? It could be anything. Again, pro wrestling is a weird business, but yes, it is discouraging. And
I've just remembered Peter and Yujiro Takahashi's gimmick. So actually, I take back what I said before. I'm sure the company don't give a shit.
Family-friendly programming is what New Japan Pro Wrestling is all about.
Okay, so our third match was Kevin Knight, Kushida, and Shota Umino defeating Francesco Akira, TJP, and Aaron Hanare. So Kushida pinned TJP in 6 minutes, 28 seconds with the perfect small package hold. So I suppose this was notable for the new tag champion getting a pin over the former tag champion, which to me sort of signifies that they're moving away from that feud. Although I wouldn't rule out the possibility of Catch 2-2 somehow getting into the mix. Like, I don't know if they're going to defend the junior tag titles at Dominion. They probably should. They probably will. I mean, that's a really good championship to be opening a show like Dominion with. And I've said before that I think Clark, Connors, and Taiji Ishimori would be good challenges for that. But what say you to some sort of three-way junior tag title match that also involves the former champs Catch 2-2? Or do you think we're sort of moving away from it?
I kind of feel like we're moving away from it. And I mean, I would be happy either way, because I think Catch 2-2 has put so much energy and life back into those titles. And that's not to say that I don't like Jet Setters. I definitely do. I like them as a tag team a lot, actually. And if they did decide to go back and find a way to get that rematch or whatever the case may be, I would have zero problems with. But yeah, to me, it did feel like that was like the exclamation point to kind of put that one to bed. And we'll figure out what else we're going to do with if Catch 2-2 will even be a thing moving forward. We'll see. But yeah, it did feel like that, definitely.
And the fourth match was Doki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Taichi defeating Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito. Taichi pinned Bushi after 7 minutes, 17 seconds following the Seite Jujiro. my takeaway from this is thinking about Taichi as our new KOPW champ, and when and against whom will he be next defending that title? Because there's a lot going on at Dominion. There will probably be a lot of championships on the line, and I don't know if they will put KOPW in the mix as well. I think they could. I think they should. I would like to see it, but there's not really a clear next challenger for Taichi. I mean, if we're assuming this Just Five Guys and LIJ feud is going to continue, then it would stand to reason that it would be an LIJ challenger for Taichi's KOPW title. Do you think that's something that Tetsuya Naito might do? Because he's definitely being downcycled at the moment. That's not me saying that, he's cooked and is never going to be the main eventer again, because like these things go in cycles, don't they? And I think it's notable that Naito and Bushi are apparently going to be working the next All Japan Pro Wrestling tour, because there's not a space for them to be working on the... Oh no, Bushi, he's going to be in Best of the Super Juniors. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Naito apparently is going to be doing some stuff with All Japan. So yeah, a few question marks then about who the next challenger could be for Taichi. Do you have any strong thoughts on that?
I don't, but I guess looking at it, if in fact we are doing a Just Five Guys and Los Ingobernables, I mean, there's nobody else, right? It's not going to be Shingo again, is it? I can't imagine that. Maybe, but yeah, I mean, that would just be rehashing the same old, same old. So it feels like Naito's the guy. That would be it. And if he is going to All Japan, I mean, again, not going, you know what I mean, just doing a little 1-2 shows, whatever the case may be. It might make sense to have him in a program like this, but then I kind of don't want to discredit the program, but it is KOPW, and as much as we've enjoyed recent months of it, it's still what it is. Yeah, I mean, I mean, unless something, excuse me, drastically happens where there's a new face looking to challenge. Yeah, I think Naito's the guy, right?
I suppose it could be Bushi,
No.
but yeah. No thanks. We're good, because he's going to be in the Best of the Super Juniors.
He's going to be preoccupied.
Big Bushi. Yeah. So then we had the cards announced for Best of the Super Juniors. We will talk Best of the Super Juniors later in the show, but let's move straight on to the fifth match, which was the Strong Openweight Championship match, with the challenger Hikuleo defeating the champion Kenta in 9 minutes and 45 seconds with his chokeslam, which he calls Godsend. So Hikuleo becomes the new Strong Openweight champion. And yeah, I'm happy about this, Damon. I'm glad we're following up on the big win he got over Jay White and giving him a bit of a sustained push. And he's quite an unusual wrestler, Hikuleo, because obviously he's huge and he wrestles like a monster. I mean, for the most part, right? But he's nearly always the babyface in peril. All the matches he's had against guys like Kenta or Jay White or even the Carl Anderson match, he's had his knee attacked and he's been working from the bottom. He's also very chill in his promos. He seems like quite a cool, laid-back guy. Now, is that an issue? I don't know. I mean, it might be for the foreign fans. The Japan crowd seem to like him. He got really good reactions here. I would like to see some variety in the match layout. And I think his ring work has improved a lot in recent years. He's a lot smoother. And there's a real sense of impact to his offense. His big spots are paced well. I think he shows the requisite fire in the ring when he's, getting fired up in the closing stretch. So, he showed that fire in the ring, if not on his mic work. And, he's no Lance Archer, right? And that's not a criticism. He doesn't have to be, right? He should be his own man rather than having people like us projecting onto him how, we think a tall wrestler should behave. And look, I like him. I like Hikuleo. I think he's quietly having a decent year. I would love to see him get a spot in the G1, to see him mix it up with some of the more established domestic talent. So, what did you think of the match?
I thought the match was okay. I thought it was fine. Here's what I see in Hikuleo. Yes, obviously he is a monster of a man. He's like, if you've never seen him live, like, I don't think TV does a accurate portrayal over just how like awesome. He's just a big fucking dude. And I don't mean that in like a fucking Vader kind of way. I mean that in a like he's lean yet muscular yet tall. He's he's a monster. And I think you're not going to see like traditional, and I put that in air quotes, monster pro wrestler at a Hikuleo. Like you're not going to see, Big John Studd. You're not going to see, what maybe we figure a super heavyweight monster type wrestler is. I think those days are gone. Now, I will say this, that I would love to see even more power stuff and monster stuff from Hikuleo, only because I just think it may, like, who else on that roster is that guy? Finlay? I mean, when do you see Finlay? Fucking 2 times a year, if that, at this point. Like, to me, he is the guy who's going to carry that torch. So that separates him. That kind of makes him different. It makes him special. And I think they can start to treat him like that. And the more that they do that, the better. I still think he needs the right kind of wrestler. Like, he needs somebody with experience, and like he's not going to be the one guy to carry a match. And then 2, I would love to see more power spots, more big man spots, more whatever spots, just to kind of, separate him from the pack. Like, I don't want him doing and again, not that I've seen it. I don't want him to do a fucking moonsault or a fucking drop kick off the top rope. Do monster shit, because you're already pre-built for that. And again, it kind of separates him from all the other guys on the roster. Like, be that special guy, and wrestle like it. That's my only thing. It's my only thing with him. But the match was fine.
Well done, Kenta here. A really good promo afterwards where he was blaming his long hair for the loss, said he was getting in his eyes, and asked the cameraman if he could have a rematch after cutting his hair, and the cameraman nodded, and then he was like, "Who are you? You don't have any authority to make the match," which was very funny. His promos are always a highlight of all the backstage stuff. So the rematch is set for Resurgence, but Cactus writes in and says, "Has Kenta officially progressed to New Japan dad status? Can we expect him to win the Noah or All Japan World Championships next?" So where do you see Kenta's future in the company?
I mean, look, is he dad status? No, but he's on that road, right? I think everybody can agree with that. You can't expect him to be fucking 2002 Kenta. And yeah, I mean, like, a dad status, I don't know if I'm ready to put him in that bucket, but yeah, I mean, it's Kenta. What are you going to, the mileage that he has accumulated over the years is, probably catching up. And yeah, I mean, I mean, what else is there to say? What else is there to say about poor Kenta and his rapid decline?
He should be the next Yano. He can do the short 5-minute comedy matches, because he's a very, very funny man. I think that would help him with the old wear and tear on the body. So there's my hot take for Kenta. I mean, I was going to talk about G1. Like, do you put Kenta in the G1? It depends if we're going back to a 20-man G1 or if we're going to go with something enormous like something 32-man G1. If it's a big G1, then fuck it, why not stick him in there? But if it's 20-man, then we might want to sit this one out. But we'll have to wait and see for that. But let's move on to the 6th match, which was the NJPW World TV Championship. So we had the champion, Zack Sabre Jr., with his on his 6th defense, going to a time limit draw against the challenger Jeff Cobb, 15-minute timeout draw. So Zack successfully retains the TV championship. And I suppose we can't really discuss this match without first addressing Shane Haste's pre-match promo where he was trying to do an impression of Zack, but it sounded like a drunk Mancunian. Look, I just love the chemistry between TMDK. They're so fun to watch when they're together, and I've talked about it before, but Shane Haste has added a lot of charisma and humor to that dynamic. So just really glad that he's around in New Japan. I just really like the bit when he was Zack was like, I wasn't going to kill him. It's a championship match. I was going to beat him with my technical skills. So I was hooting and hollering for that. But yeah, I mean, this match was great. Jeff Cobb has been a bit of a forgotten man lately, so it's good to see him being featured again because he was fantastic during the pandemic and he held the fort, so to speak. So I think he deserves to have something to do now that we got proper crowds back. And again, we have a stable mates ringside with United Empire and TMDK, so that's always good and adds to the drama of the match and gives it that the team sports feel. And no clear face or heel here. This is sort of emblematic of the more fluid dynamics in New Japan matches these days, where there isn't often a narrative good guy or a bad guy. It's that sort of combat sports, team sports vibe where you cheer the guys that you like. And I mean, the match was tremendous. I like the opening grappling exchanges. They're really fun with Zack trying and failing to lift Cobb up and doing his back in. Just a really absorbing mix of styles all around that I thought complemented each other really well, with Cobb's big power moves and Zack's submission reversals, like the bit at the end with the Tour of the Islands reversed into the inside cradle. Crowd were really loud for that one. And they just did a really good job presenting these two guys, like two very different wrestlers, as equals who pushed each other to a higher gear. And the last 2 minutes in particular are fantastic with all the back and forth. So many tasty little near falls. I was eating them all up. And we finally got a time limit draw for the TV title. And I think they picked the perfect contest to do it. Because, I mean, to me, it makes sense that Zack would put away guys like Ren or Ishii, Clark Connors, Blake Christian, Shota, Tom Lawler within that 15-minute time limit. But he met his match here with a high-level wrestler in the form of Jeff Cobb. And all those wins that I just mentioned made this time limit draw feel very dramatic. So I think this was my favourite match of the night. And Zack is low-key putting together a sneaky little New Japan Wrestler of the Year case here. I think he's been great as the flag bearer for this title, and they're going to have the rematch at Dominion. And I said before, there's no bad option here. I'd be equally happy Zack winning it or Jeff Cobb winning it and doing something a bit different with the style of the matches.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a title change there. These two guys complement each other, I think, so well, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. When you say like it's a clash of styles that styles clash, that works really well. It's the peanut butter in your chocolate. It's a combination that you would think, okay, how are they going to make that work? Because it is such a difference, but yet they do. Creative spots, fun spots, and you're right. The idea of this being a 15-minute sprint for whoever is going to challenge for this title, I think it's interesting to that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think 15 minutes. Like if this weren't like a TV title match, you would think going into it, okay, this is at least a 20-minute match, right? Or let's put it this way: I'm taking the over on 15 minutes, right? And the fact that they went the time limit draw makes perfect sense to me. Now, again, somebody could sit there and think, okay, well, for 15 minutes, they're just going to they could just stall, but they don't. They go balls to the wall and they're creative and they're fun. Yeah, Zack to me is one of the most, I'll say, underrated as well as important pro wrestlers New Japan Pro Wrestling has. Like, there is, I talked about Hikuleo being different and standing out, and like Zack does the same thing, but in his own style, in his own method. Like, he stands out, and that, to me, I do love that about pro wrestling. Like, that's one of my favorite things about pro wrestling. And this match kind of played that tune with Zack and Cobb being just this fucking brick wall. Yeah, I mean, I dig these kind of matches. I love these matches where there's such a difference of styles, and especially when these guys mesh so well and are able to put on something like they did here. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though with the rematch that Kyle gets that title. I would not be surprised.
Okay, let's move to the 7th match, which was the Never Openweight 6-Man Tag Team Championship match, where the champions, Strong Style, Ren Narita, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki were defeated by the challengers, Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. So Okada
What
pinned
world are we
Ren.
in?
I know, right? This is crazy. 19 minutes, 36 seconds, Okada pinned Narita after the Rainmaker. And I thought they did a good job here of making Ren and Okada the focal point of this match, because Ren had felt a little bit directionless recently, despite being a champion. But I think being placed opposite this Black Trunks Okada has injected a bit of spice into him. I mean, not literally, that would be very painful, but I thought the match was well structured in the way that it played off of the other rivalries as well, like Tanahashi and Suzuki, which has over a decade of history behind it, and the recent Ishii-Despy feud. So it was really well built, well executed in a way that gave all the pairings a hook. I think it's quite interesting that Despy keeps getting positioned against heavyweights. I think it's something to keep an eye on moving forward. I'm not saying he's definitely moving out of the junior division, but it's something that's I'm raising an eyebrow towards that. But I mean, the match itself, this is, I thought, a really good match. Almost certainly the peak of prestige for these Never 6-Man titles. Like having, first of all, the 7th match on, I mean, not like Dontaku is a massive show or anything, but this is probably the most prominently it's ever been featured in a show of this level. And, having the top star of your company in Okada holding your 6-man titles takes some fucking balls. Hit the soundboard.
Wait, you need it. You need it. I can get you. I can get there. Ready? Here you go.
This man got the fucking balls.
There you go.
Fantastic. And I said it last week. This is a team of champions that, on paper, I think has a lot of appeal for a Western audience. I wouldn't be shocked if we see them defending those titles abroad. But either way, I mean, I was pretty shocked that they've belted Okada up with the 6-man titles. I still can't get over it because I was sort of hand-waving this possibility last week because I was just laughing, just balking at the idea of Okada being a 6-man champion. But here we are.
Here we are. Times are changing. I don't know if you can feel it. I don't know if everybody else can feel it, but I certainly can feel it. Times are a changing. And I think this is proof of concept. It's, we're giving them these titles, and it almost feels like we're giving them these titles so that we can kind of give them, and I put in air quotes, something to do other than being the main focal point of New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? And that's the first time in a long time that we're saying that about two guys that have carried this promotion, and they were the top of the promotion for, wow. I mean, for a lot of people, it's the only thing they know. I am so excited at the prospect of this being very similar to that of the 80s, where you had guys, and some guys were getting the push a little bit harder out of the gates. Some took a little bit of time, took a little bit of whatever. But, this feels to me very much like early Muda and early, Kishi Yamada and early Chono and early Hashimoto. Like, it feels that way. I'm not saying this is going to be that. I'm saying, like, this is the course that this company is on right now, where, the Choshus and the, I mean, who else are we going to put? Inoki to a certain degree, and Fujinami, and all those guys who have been on top for the longest time, might be kind of settling back, at least with the spotlight a little bit. So it's exciting. I'm not saying I know if it's going to work. I'm not saying that these guys are comparable to the people that I just mentioned, but it does, from a person who remembers it, from a person who lived it, it does feel similar to me. And trust me, if it's even, half of what we had in, late 80s, early 90s, it's going to be exciting. New Japan's going to be exciting down the road 5 years from now. But this is where it starts. It starts in that 87, 88, 89. That's when this all kind of got bubbling. So it feels the same, Joel. So if there's any comfort in knowing that some guys might be, the spotlight might not be as bright, this is what you have to look forward to, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite the transformation for Okada. I mean, even just the way he's presented now, like he was literally kicking Ren while he was down after the match, with Suzuki, of all people, standing up for Ren and criticizing Okada's bullying tactics. So we had a big post-match angle here with Shota Umino coming out to challenge. He said that Moxley's coming back to join him and an as-of-yet unknown partner to potentially challenge for these belts at Dominion. And Okada said, "Fuck you," to Shota.
Oh!
So we were all enjoying this heelish side to Okada, where he's punking out all the youngsters and using foul language. And let's be fair, speaking a lot of truth, calling Mox Shota's babysitter, it sets up a lot of interesting possibilities for Dominion. We also got a nice happy moment at the end with Ishii agreed to shake Tanahashi's hand. So although he didn't pose backstage with the titles, it looks like Ishii is satisfied with being part of this team, for now at least. So Damon, what did you think of all the post-match stuff with Shota and Mox and Okada?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I think it I know there are people that are kind of down on Mox in the sense of he fly him in for shows, and you're going to get a lot of brawling, and it may not be for them, whatever. I think it's fantastic. I like. It's the Never 6-man titles are very interesting right now. Very interesting. It's yeah. I mean, I know people also kind of want the idea of him not being in the shadow of Moxley, right? Kind of be his own man, that kind of thing, and riding coattails or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I like them together. I'm sorry. I think they work.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you like to see Mox turn on Shota and beat him up and tear the jacket in half and shove it up Shota's ass and say, "Fuck you"? I mean, man. Maybe they have
not for nothing. That's a great idea.
The door match.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea. I mean, you're accomplishing lots of things in one swoop. You're kind of separating him from Moxley. Well, not kind of. You are separating from Moxley. Yeah, you're now on a big program where people are going to be talking. I mean, and you get to work with Moxley now, and get another side of you that maybe people haven't seen. That I always talk about how guys need sandpaper, right? To kind of round out who they are. They gotta be a guy that's willing to kick some fucking ass. Because
there'd be that symmetry there, wouldn't they? Like it was Dominion 2019 where we had Mox against Shota in just like a random undercard match where this whole thing started. So I think it would be very fitting for something to happen between the two of them there. And I think some sort of match where basically not at Dominion, but in the future where Mox can just basically beat the snot out of Shota and bloody him up and just give him those rough edges as you talk about.
I think so. I mean, that's if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it. I mean, how many times have we given them scenarios that they didn't? But now for nothing, how many times have we given them scenarios and they did take?
For a tiny slice of clout,
right? A tiny slice of clout. Ah, the internet clout, so delicious. Yeah, I think that's a perfect idea actually, and I hope they do. I hope they do it because it will accomplish plenty of goals.
Mike says, am I crazy for thinking, with all the dislike from Ishii about tagging with Tanahashi and the mock Shota stuff, that we could see Ishii turn and form an offshoot Blackpool Combat Club Japan with Shota and the others? I don't see that happening. I think the Ishii stuff was just a little bit of flavour to sort of go into the match. I think that's squashed for now. Although, stranger things have happened. Multiverse says, who do you think will be Mox and Shota's partner at Dominion? If we go off the Resurgence card, it could be Yuta. But can we dare to dream that they will bring in Danielson for the second biggest show of the year? That would be very cool if the mystery partner was Bryan Danielson and then Danielson says, I'm going to enter the G1. Rah! But that would that's pure fantasy booking. I think there's a very, very low chance of that happening. And I think that would detract from what they could achieve with this potential Moxley Shota angle, which again, that's fantasy booking level 1. Danielson would be like fantasy booking level 10, and
Yeah,
not ready to do that to myself right now.
yeah, that would be a wild. That's for sure. And again, just the idea of him in G1 would be a little bit mind blowing, actually. It's exciting and fun. And I think if you're looking for some buzz for G1, that would certainly help. But you're right. I think we're at level 10 at this point with the fantasy booking.
Okay. 8th match, the semi-main event, was the Never Openweight Championship match with the challenger David Finlay defeating the champion Tama Tonga in 25 minutes with his finishing move that he's now calling Into Oblivion. So David Finlay becomes the new Never Openweight champion. So this wasn't a stars match. It was a beatdown. It was an emphatic, a brutal finish. I mean, that's what's going to stick in the memory, where Finlay repeatedly had Tama Tonga beaten, but kept the match going just to establish his dominance over him. And I think it did really help to set up that vicious side of Finlay, and kind of reminded me of that Brock Lesnar versus John Cena match from, I think it was SummerSlam all those years ago. And we've heard rumours that Tama's working without a contract, which isn't shocking or unusual in and of itself. But when paired with the outcome of this match, there's a non-zero chance that this was a write-off for Tama. So full marks for the result here, where Finlay is not only the new Never champion, but also beat the snot out of Tama. They took a while to get there. I think they could have shaved a good 5 or 10 minutes off of this and not suffered as a result. But either way, it's a very strong statement of intent from David Finlay and his new role. And I think clearly distinguishes him from previous Bullet Club leaders, particularly Jay White. And I say again, look past the long hair and the beard and the black leather. This is not the same character. So people who are pointing out similarities between the two, to me, is pretty reductive. Like, David Finlay's not being presented as that crafty, cowardly manipulator who outsmarts his opponents. He is, in his own words, a vicious killer who's, he's not just going to beat you, he's going to hurt you again and again and again until you can't get up. And projecting that strong heel character whilst also wrestling clean without any cheating or interference is, I think, something worth celebrating, considering how others have been presented in similar spots in New Japan over the last few years. So I really love the presentation, and I've seen enough from David Finlay in ring, particularly last year, to tell me he can hang with the top guys in the company. I think his promos are outstanding. The only thing I think he's really lacking is the body. Like, if he was as jacked as Jay White is, then I think the discourse would be very, very different. And I know some people still have doubts about his ability to have those tippy top matches, your match of the year candidates. I thought his matches with Juice and Ospreay last year were outstanding, and I think he can push on and do even better this year as he's given bigger spots and more high profile matches against better opponents. And I'm not saying he's going to be wrestling at the peak level of prime Okada or Kenny or Shingo or Ospreay, but as you spoke about in the past, I think we've been spoiled by that level of talent to the point at which an excellent match, for the sake of argument, let's say a 4.25 or 4.5 star match might actually seem underwhelming to some people because it's not on the level of the apex of the 2017-2019 boom period, where the company just seemed to be churning out all-time classics every other month. So I think also part of this is recalibrating our expectations and appreciating how good we had it then.
Yeah. And again, the idea of change when it comes to pro wrestling fans, especially people who parachute in, I hate to do it, but the analogy I give is, like fucking Doctor Who. You know, every time there's a new doctor. Ugh, I can't believe I'm saying this. Every time there's a new doctor, people get all up in arms. Like, how can it be a woman? How can it be that guy? Oh, how can it be? Oh, this guy stinks. He's not David Tennant. Oh, this guy stinks. He's not, Matt Smith. Oh, this
James
guy
Bond.
stinks.
They do it with new James Bonds as well. Every time there's a new Bond.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they all have their own different spin on what the doctor should be. And that's but isn't that what makes that show so incredibly special to a lot of people, is the fact that they do this. They do have this thing where when the doctor is regenerated, it's fucking, it could be anything. That's kind of the excitement of it. And then how that character interacts and blah, blah, blah. Like that's what makes that special. And I think that's what we have here. I really do. I really feel like that's what we have here. And I think people just need to settle into it, and they'll be fine. I know change is hard for a lot of people, but yeah, I think this is exactly what it is. People are just uncomfortable with change. And I'm not saying
monthlies, as J. Michael calls them, the monthlies, the people that sort of pop in once a month.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The monthlies. And you can tell the people who are, and I'm not knocking those people. I'm not saying they're not real fans. I'm not saying whatever, how what you do in your 24 hours. I'm not going to judge. But my point is that know that you're missing a lot in, if you're parachuting in just for big shows. I think you're missing a lot. The subtleties of what makes this character tick. So, I did see the tweet. Did you see the tweet from Tama Tonga? The little I love Japan thing and emojis.
No,
and
I missed that. Did it look like a goodbye?
It felt like it to me. And then again, people can tweet anything they want, stir the pot, whatever the fuck, But yeah, that's how I took it. I don't know any other way to take it. It's pretty hot. I do know many ways to take it.
Psst, hey, Mark, remember, getting help from Progressive is so easy. You can use the mobile app, chat with us online, or call us.
And you pick now to tell me.
I couldn't miss Little Grace's ballet recital. Oh, thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Did I?
Because I'm always here for you.
Yeah. I can use the mobile app if I need help. Sorry, you're in my wife's seat, though?
Oh, yeah, I gotta go anyway. Tell Grace she nailed her chassé.
Get the help you need from Progressive with our mobile app, online chat, or over the phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Oh, I thought we were going to get some follow-up there. You just left me hanging. I thought we were going to get a sequence of the licking people's anuses that we opened the show. That hot opener. Following this match, we had El Phantasmo making his big return with an interesting new look with the pink hair. He's looking very jacked as well. And I think this is illustrative of that point you've made where, it seems like the booking of New Japan in the last 2 months has been exclusively to reward lunatic fans like us who watch all this stuff and do all this fancy booking and have been along for the ride of these guys like Tama and Finlay and ELP as they have been sort of rising amongst the ranks. And now it makes complete sense to have ELP challenging David Finlay after everything that's happened. And really looking forward to having that match at Dominion for the Never title. It does raise questions about ELP. We had a question from where was it? Kid Kilowatt. What faction does El Phantasmo end up in? What faction is the best right now? Which is the worst after the shakeup? I mean, he was pointing at the lion mark on his short, so it does seem like he is a Hontai guy. He's joining the New Japan Army, and that's fine. I mean, I think he seems like a popular guy, and I guess that's the right place for your sort of fan favorite baby faces, because that's the way he's been trending. He's been getting great reactions from the kids and interacting with them all nicely like a baby face should. So I'm quite looking forward to this Finlay ELP feud.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are, and dare I say, this could be like great. This could really be very, 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 very good. It's weird seeing ELP as this lovable baby face, and it just seems so. I don't know. Like, I'm just waiting for the turn. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for the pull the fucking rug out from everybody.
They're going to do a finger poke at Dominion.
You know, I find it to be very, very satisfying, though, to see a lot of these guys that, you know, for a time you could honestly say they were written off. Now, apparently there might be a opening, right, with Tama Tonga not necessarily filling his duties for that faction. Slides right in, instant baby face, and away you go. It's like heel rehabilitation, that faction. So I think the match will be great. Spotlight match, you're going to get 20, 25 minutes. I think this could be one of those matches that we'll be talking about for a little bit. Fingers crossed.
Main event at Dontaku was the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, with Sanada getting in his first successful defense against the challenger Hiromu Takahashi, 27 minutes 30 seconds via deadfall, so he retains his title. And yeah, I mean, this was cooking away to be a good little match until Hiromu's dropkick, where he thought it was a good and cool idea to take a flat back bump on the concrete, and he completely no-sold it afterwards. I thought he'd be like writhing around in agony, but he just popped back up with that sort of look on his face like, fuck, why did I do that? But just carried on with the match. And it was just, I found it really interesting the way Sanada was working, because it felt like he was very distinctly working on the heel side of the spectrum and just putting a beating on Hiromu, basically, who, the crowd were solidly behind Hiromu as the underdog junior challenger, as expected. And the drama built up really well, with Hiromu managing to fight back to eke out a chance to hit all of his signature moves in an organic and believable way. Like all the criticism I've said about the layout of his junior title matches, where he's just landing all his moves, out of the blue, didn't happen here. It was like he had to sort of squeak them out and catch Sanada off guard to land these moves. So I thought that was really, really good. It was very exciting to see the way he worked up from Time Bomb 1 to Time Bomb 1.5, and then finally Time Bomb 2 for the big near fall at the end of the match. And I bet on that. I was surprised that Sanada kicked out of all three, but I think it's good that he did, because he is the heavyweight champion. And yeah, those are moves that will put away a junior, but not the heavy Q champ. So I thought they did a very good job balancing that issue we talked about last week of them booking themselves into a bit of a corner, where I thought both guys came away from the match looking really strong. So yeah, I thought a very, very good main event. I enjoyed it a lot. What did you think of it?
I mean, I thought it was good. At no point did I think that, and I think this is the biggest problem, at no point did I think Hiromu was winning. I really didn't, even with the near falls. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Now, if they actually did it, I would throw this fucking match high in the sky. This thing would be amazing, just for the surprise alone. But I mean, how could they do that? Why would they do that? They're not going to do that. So that took a little bit of steam out of it for me. I don't know why, and again, we talked about it last week. I don't know why they would put Hiromu in this match. Like, what was the purpose of putting Hiromu in this match? Like, giving him this month of build, and now we're going to do this. Is it just because he's LIJ? Is it just because eventually we're going to get to Naito challenging? I just felt like, of all the people on the roster, especially the fact that, he's going for, this record, whether he gets it or not, it is part of his storyline. I don't know. I just felt like it was just like, what benefit? And here's the thing too. All right. So now Sanada, his first fucking title defense is against a junior. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make it like.
Well, it was the
does it
same for
make him-
Evil back in 2020, wasn't it? There's that symmetry there.
Yeah, I mean, but I just I don't understand that. I don't get it. Why would we put Hiromu in that spot? And again, why it doesn't. Who came out of this looking great? Well, okay, here's what came out of it. A pretty decent angle, but okay, is that why we did this? I don't know. Like I said, I think anybody could have been put in that spot if they were there to lose. You could have gone through anybody, and not for nothing, it could have been a heavyweight, and I think the win would have been and again, air quotes, stronger win.
Well, I think part of it could also play into what happened after the match, where, of course, we got the big return for Yota Tsuji, who was the wrestler that had been teased with all these vignettes in recent weeks. I thought he just looked fucking tremendous. Just the music, the gear, the fact that he was able to have that oversized hood without having to hold it up with one hand. The way when his name flashed up on the screen and there was that huge roar from the crowd, and then that grin just sort of crept across his face, and the way he just cleaned house and beat all the Just Five guys, and that spear, I watched that about 12 times. That was just tremendous. He nearly took Sanada out of his boots. And then the fist bump, sort of teasing that LIJ alliance there, and then him coming backstage when Hiromu's doing his sort of losers promo, and he just grabs the camera, points at his face, picks up Hiromu, walks off. So I think, there was that connection there. First of all, the symmetry of, Hiromu being the guy who challenged Evil after Evil turned on LIJ, him being Evil's first challenger. So it made sense that he'd be Sanada's first challenger. And then Tsuji being there was like a little thing between them before Tsuji went off on excursion, where Hiromu said that Tsuji was his spokesperson or something, for those of you who have insane memories. But him just sort of picking up Hiromu, walking off backstage, and the English commentary, Kevin Kelly was saying, what's he going to do to Hiromu? I can't remember if it's him or Chris that said it. It was like, oh my God, it put quite a sinister spin on it. What I took as just him sort of helping his senpai up to his feet and carrying him off to safety. But man, just the aura, the presentation, just the vibes I got from Tsuji gave me chills. And I've always been a big Yota Tsuji fan. I think I was actually reviewing the shows for Voices of Wrestling when he made his Young Lion debut. So it's so satisfying to see a guy going from Young Lion with the shaved head and the no knee pads to looking like, I'm not going to say he's the next champion, but he very well could be. I mean, this guy's gone from nothing to Dominion main event, which is absolutely colossal. I mean, this is a massive re-debut. I can't think of any other Young Lions re-debuting in recent history that have come close to the aura that Tsuji was projecting here.
Yeah, maybe Okada. I mean, maybe, but yeah,
that was a long time
talk
ago.
About
though.
Fucking getting the jetpack strapped on you. Yeah, it's frightening and a little bit anxious to see how he does, and if we can pull this off. Like like we're going right into the deep end of the pool here. The good news is that the angle itself was fantastic, and he went in there and destroyed everyone he came in contact with. Okay, smart, good. But now it's like, wow, we're going all in. We're going all in, and you're right. It would not surprise me if they went all in and said, okay, we're starting hot, and he gets a title. Stranger things have happened. Stranger fucking things have happened. So yeah, we have ourselves a new player in the game. And there is no warm up period. We're going right for it. And here's the thing. I've said it I've said it a million times. The hardest thing is presenting a guy at a certain level, and then hopefully he builds and builds and builds, to get to a certain point. But if that build is too long, boy, people, get preconceived notions about a guy, and now they're hand waving. Oh, this fucking guy. But once again, to have the balls to be able to say, okay, you're going to be, we're putting you in a very prime position right out of the gate. Like, there is no mistake. They turned him into a star at day one. Back from his excursion, he's in the spotlight. And you're right. Is evil even in that comparative of bringing a guy back and just fucking, rocket shipping him? I mean, they put him in LIJ, but like, he wasn't, like, he's fucking main eventing. You know what I mean? Like, he's main eventing for the title. They're going in. And once again, I think I gotta applaud the company for having the guts to do it. Once again,
This man got the fucking balls.
That's right, the fucking balls.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, we're in the midst of a huge reshuffle in this company where we've got guys like Sanada and Finlay, Hikuleo, Aussie Open, Kevin Knight, all holding titles, which was very fresh and exciting. And I'm not saying every single one of these guys being pushed is going to be a home run, but you have to applaud the company for pushing the boat out and being adventurous with their booking, which has erred on the side of caution over the last decade. So it's a really exciting time, and we've got a ton of questions about Tsuji. So Aaron says, do you think Sanada beating Okada makes even more sense now that Tsuji is getting a shot at the title? I feel that Sanada is the perfect guy to be a transitional champ in this scenario. Convinced Tsuji beats him and takes over LIJ. So, yeah, I mean, there is that sort of bit of symmetry there. I keep saying symmetry, but it was when Sanada made his debut for the company at Invasion Attack, I want to say, where he interfered in the Okada-Naito match. So cost Okada the title and helped Naito to win it. But now it's Tsuji popping up to, potentially cause Sanada to lose the title as a new debuting member of LIJ. So there's that sort of little echo of the past there, which I thought was very cool. Definite one. So Tsuji looked like $1 million and seemed like an absolute force, decimating all of Just Five guys. What do you think is the likelihood that Gedo gives him the Okada treatment and straps him with the world title in his first program back from excursion? Clem Fandango says, does Naito remain LIJ leader or is Tsuji poised to take over? I think that's the long-term play. I mean, I'm not saying that Naito is on his way out of the company or retirement or anything like that, but if you had to pick someone to be the future LIJ leader after Naito hangs up his boots, then it would be difficult to look past Tsuji just based on the way that he was presented here. Flynn says, are you surprised Yota Tsuji got such a big return from excursion angle compared to the other young lions in recent years? I always thought Shota and Ren were the golden boys in New Japan's eyes. Tsuji just felt totally natural and comfortable in his role, though, and had a level of intensity above the other graduates. What a hunk as well. If they get Yuya back as well, this injection of new talent will make this the most exciting G1 for years. And I think that's worth discussing, just the way his re-debut matches up against Ren and Shota. And what do you think? What do you think is the cause of that? Do you think it's that he's older than them and they've got less time, or do you think they've just seen something in Tsuji either during the excursion or towards the end of the excursion that they think Ren and Shota don't have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if they felt that any other guy could fill that role, I think they would have done it, right? I think they handpicked him to be that guy. Now, for whatever reason, it could be that he takes flat back bumps better than anybody. The fact that he fucking gets, take out Burger King every time and feeds he brings donuts to the fight. Who knows? But yes, we sit here now. We don't know how this match is going to turn out, right? We don't know. I mean, it could be a 5-minute squash and Sonata just fucking walks out and pisses all over everybody. Or it could go the other way, where we have we're rocking the world with a new world champion. That's what's exciting, is that we don't know, right? We don't know. And if they do pull the fucking string and make it happen, it's exciting. It's fun to have the idea of a new star. To answer your question, I don't know why they chose him over any size. Maybe. I don't know. But here's the thing: just because he got this shot right now, that doesn't mean that the others are eventually going to be at that same level. Like, I mean, know in your hearts and in your minds and in your soul that those are the people that are going to carry this company into the future. Those are the people that are going to be at the top of the cards at Tokyo Domes and G1s and everything else, the Minions and you name it, right? Make no mistake about it. Now, again, it feels like this is a rocket that's strapped to him, and that's fine, because I feel the same way too. But know that every one of those guys that you had mentioned, they're going to be in that same level eventually, unless again injuries or maybe a guy there doesn't work out, right? Maybe a guy just can't make it to the next level. Who knows? But I think penciled in the notebook for Wrestle Kingdom in like 2 or 3 years, you're gonna see those names at the top.
So we've got questions here about the future of Sanada as champion. So Braces, do you think we can get to Wrestle Kingdom with Sanada as champion? Seems impossible, but I think with challenges like Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, Tanahashi, Ospreay, we could get a rematch with Okada. Maybe Sanada even beats Okada to solidify top guy status. Daryl says, are we underwhelmed that Sanada's probably the IWGP champ going into Forbidden Door? How long do you think that he holds on to it past the G1? Troy says, with LIJ, Just Five Guys seemingly to continue throughout the year. Thoughts on potential Sanada Naito Wrestle Kingdom main event? I think this would draw, to be honest. First Naito Wrestle Kingdom main in 2 years. Sanada obviously hot, but does New Japan have the balls to do it? I don't know. I know there's a lot of new things going on in New Japan, and they're not booking the way that they used to. But I think I would still be quite surprised to see Sanada going into a Tokyo Dome main event and still holding the belt at that time. I do think he's going to lose it at some point, maybe at the King of Pro Wrestling event, and I think they might sort of go back to booking their quote unquote big stars for their biggest show of the year. So that would be my safe prediction. In terms of Forbidden Door, I mean, there was some interesting chat on Voices of Wrestling flagship about this being a smart move to keep big stars like Okada away from the heavyweight title, so that's not an obstacle when it comes to booking into promotional matches. So
Correct.
You can give Sanada if you want to do a crossover match, someone on the AEW roster that he can beat, like I don't know, Adam Cole or maybe even Jay White. I think Sanada versus Jay White would be a pretty cool match for Forbidden Door. But yeah, that would free up guys like Okada and Naito to maybe do something different without having to worry about the politics of them holding titles and not wanting to lose. This, I think, just makes everything a bit easier. But my prediction would be, I don't know. It's really tough to even just look past Dominion because I think there's a non-zero chance of Tsuji winning. But I would not say Sanada to walk into Wrestle Kingdom as champion.
Yeah, I would doubt it. That's a long time. It's only May. We got a little ways to go here, and again, we haven't even hit G1 yet. So, it seems like a long time for him to hold. I could be dead wrong, but it just I would think that they would move it at some point. You mentioned Forbidden Door, and I think that you're exactly right, and whoever mentioned it on Voices of Wrestling flagship show. And we've said it before in the sense of, I mean, when you hold a title going into these shows, it does make it, you're not going to get the dreamiest of dream matches because, again, there are people that have to be protected. No doubt. So, yeah, having them with the Never titles kind of takes them out of the loop. And then you can have maybe a little bit more flexibility when it comes to some dream matches, but without titles at stake. But also, I mean, we still haven't even gotten to the fact that we expect, I would think, some New Japan involvement at this Wembley show. Possibly, maybe. So there's also that to look forward to. So fingers crossed. Did you get your tickets, by the way?
Yes, I did. Editor Dan was put in charge of buying the tickets. And then for the morning the tickets went on sale, everyone from my Smartcast group was messaging him saying, Dan, how are we doing with the tickets? Did you get the tickets? Did you get the tickets? And he was just not responding at all. So we're like,
no.
oh, fuck, he's overslept. He's missed it completely. And it turns out he was asleep, but he had very cleverly delegated the ticket buying responsibility to his missus, who had managed to buy us all tickets. So yes, we have our tickets in a lovely spot for Wembley Stadium. So very much looking forward to the big MJF versus Adam Cole main event there. My two favorite guys.
Blur's playing there. Blur's playing there.
The Rev Pro show. They're doing a Rev Pro show the night before, and Ospreay's been bigging that up. So I think Rev Pro are going to be pulling out all the stops. That could be like the biggest Rev Pro show ever, potentially, with that huge Wembley audience being around. They definitely got potential to draw a big gate there, and get some New Japan talent involved in that. So yeah, I think I'd be watching that one with great interest.
Yeah, they're not going to be at the cockpit, are they? I think they're going to be a little bit of a bigger venue, right? Okay.
This is a bit of an old question, but still applies here. Multiverse A says both Sanada and Aussie Open's victories were emotionally satisfying moments. So this is talking about when they won the titles, executed at the right time. A complete 180 to the Cody WrestleMania debacle. Was there a time when New Japan had all the stars aligned to make a new star and failed to do so? So can you think of any examples where they've completely dropped the ball on making a new star when the timing was right?
I mean, I don't know if it's like it didn't make him a star. Well, they kind of did actually when they brought in Vader, but they were hyping up Inoki and Ricky Choshu, and they debuted Vader because people once again felt they were bigger than life and didn't necessarily want to lose or whatever. And the idea of changing it and screwing over everybody who paid a ticket to see that match. That might be they fucking almost burnt down the building, for Christ's sake. But it doesn't necessarily fit the criteria of the question because Vader was a big star for New Japan for a while. I'm trying to think of like the biggest push, like the biggest idea. The one thing that comes to mind is when Jericho debuted as like I forget what they called them, but fucking like Evil Liger or some shit, or I don't know. That was that was pretty awful. Let's see. I mean, listen, they've had a lot of fucking guys that have rolled through New Japan, and I don't know necessarily that they were going to make them stars, but like, Diesel doing the Oz gimmick was pretty fucking awful. Bill Kazmaier as well being brought in. Who else? Like, what else would be like just things that just never fucking got off the ground? Yeah, I guess that could be where it begins and ends. I'm thinking I'm thinking like a guy that they were just pushing down your throat and like they just didn't connect.
I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking of an example where it seemed like the perfect moment to launch a guy into the stratosphere, but they didn't do it. So Something like the Wrestle Kingdom 12 main event where everyone was expecting Naito to win. But I can't say that as an example because I think they actually executed it perfectly and having him win at Wrestle Kingdom 14 2 years later. So I can't think of any examples in recent history anyway where they've completely dropped the ball in failing to make a new star who had all the ingredients there.
Yeah, but the Naito thing was, I mean, he could have dropped it the next night and nobody would have, well, I can't say nobody would have cared, but, like to have that, I felt like that was one of those moments of, ooh, that was getting it while the fire's hot, and not going through with it. I don't know. I mean, in hindsight, would we have Okada and Kenny in those matches if they did do that? I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, it could have been just like a quickie, a quick shot with the belt, and that's that. But yeah, that's I got to be honest with you, that's the one that sticks out for me, just because I was there and I heard the crowd and everyone around us just thought that was it, and that wasn't it.
So looking ahead to Dominion, we have 4 official matches. So we got for the World Heavyweight title, Sanada defending against Yota Tsuji. We got the Never title, Finlay defending against ELP. We got the Heavyweight Tag titles, Aussie Open against Bishamon against House of Torture. We got the TV title rematch with Zack against Jeff Cobb. And we're also likely looking at a Mox, Shota, and X against Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii. Ospreay versus Lance Archer. I'm assuming it's going to be Ospreay winning because I think Tanahashi is going to be involved in that 6-man defense. Ospreay versus Archer for the US title #1 contendership. So winner of that going on to face Kenny at Forbidden Door. Probably going to get Hiromu defending against the Best of the Super Juniors winner. We might even get the junior tag titles there, maybe even KOPW. So Dominion shaping up to be quite a beast of a show, Damon.
Yeah. Right now it's looking pretty good. And a lot of things haven't even been finalized yet, but even the shit that is, in the books and ready to go, it looks like a pretty good, it looks like a show on paper, at least, that you shouldn't be missing. That's for sure.
Right, before we wrap up today, let's have a look at the Best of the Super Juniors schedules and preview some of the upcoming matches. William says, what do you think about the participants in Best of the Super Juniors this year? And Dogfinger says, what do you think of the slightly amended format? Kind of sucks a bit of the drama of the block final. So this year, the change will be that the top 2 wrestlers from each block will go through to face each other in semi-finals. So the number 1 in Block A will face number 2 in Block B, and number 1 in Block B will face number 2 in Block A. The winners will go on to face each other in the final. And I mean, in terms of the participants, I think it's a great lineup. I think it speaks volumes about how well New Japan have done to strengthen the depth of their junior division, because they haven't had to dip into the well for guests that much. They've got, the 18P, the 2 surprises for me were Mike Bailey and Dan Maloney to some extent. Tiny slice of clout notwithstanding.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It wasn't surprising to us because we fucking told you.
But I mean, the other 18 guys were easy because they are guys that have been heavily involved in the junior division. So I think it shows they've got a really deep junior roster at the moment, which is a big strength. And I like the lineup. And I actually like having the semi-finals because it makes it harder to pick. Like when it's just the top 2 going through, you can easily just glance at the matchups on the final block night, and then it's easy to it's going to be this guy and this guy facing off, and everyone else is going to be a dead rubber. But now that 2 people are going through from each block, then It's a lot harder to call. So I mean, I'm looking at the timetable, the schedules now for the final block nights. So these are both in Osaka. So A block, there's again in no particular order: Kushida against Taguchi, Hiromu against Titan, Doki against Sho, Leo Rush against Mike Bailey, TJP against Ishimori. And I find that really difficult to call. I think Hiromu will probably be going through. I imagine he'll be in the top 2. But then your other guy to go through could be Kushida, could be Leo Rush, could be Ishimori. It's really difficult to tell. And I like the fact that it's unpredictable. So the same for the B block. So we got, again, no order here. Bushi against Akira, Despy against Robbie Eagles. Now, that's the one that you're circling and thinking that is the winner of that's going to be going through for sure. But then the others, we got Wato against Kevin Knight, Yo versus Kanemaru, Dan Maloney against Clark Connors. Bushi Akira, I mean, I don't think either of those guys are going through to the final. Akira, I mean, it wouldn't stun me. Wato, he was my pick earlier in the year, so Wato against Kevin Knight, that could be significant. Yo's a previous finalist. He was challenging quite recently, so he could very well go through. Clark Connors, you know, he might be getting the rocket strapped to him as the new Bullet Club guy, so for me, having the new stipulation with the top 2 guys going through from each block makes it a lot harder to call, a lot more unpredictable, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I can see people just fighting it out to make that spot. And it does. Here's what it does: it adds an extra layer of you giving a fuck, right? Because you can kind of see that, just like you said, you see the handwriting on the wall with 2 guys going into it, but now you have semi, 1 and 2. That makes things very interesting. And that last night, that Mike Bailey Leo Rush match, I mean, let's put it this way. I just hope that there's something on the line with that match. I mean, because I think the match would be great. I don't care, if they just had the match. But if there's some fucking stakes behind it, that could be fucking amazing. Then add to that Robbie Eagles and El Desperado. You would think that would have some stakes as well, So it does. It absolutely does make it 1,000% more interesting. Having that semifinal, it's not to throw a American sports analogy at you, but this is the idea of a wild card in baseball. Getting in the playoffs and having that short series to get into the meat of the playoffs. It's good. I'm a fan of it. I'm really a fan of it, and I would not be surprised if they incorporate that in G1. I mean, they kind of do already, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's standard round robin stuff. I mean, like in the Champions League group stage and the World Cup or European Championships, you'd have the top 2 going through. So again, it adds more of that sort of authentic sports feel to it. A friend of the show, Jay Michael, has put his booking thoughts thread where he's done the calculations and given each wrestler a score based on how high up they're booked, main events, semi-main events, just card placement. And of course, this is notwithstanding the block finals where we don't have an order for that. But in terms of the shows that we do have match orders for, the top ranking wrestler in terms of card placement is El Desperado with 8.5. Hiromu's second at 8.25. Third is Yo, 7.25. Fourth is Wato at 7. Fifth is Ishimori, 6.75. And Leo Rush also joined on fifth, 6.75. Mike Bailey, 6.25 and seventh. 8 is Akira with 6. Kishida's 9th, 5.5. I think, that's sort of getting into the weeds a bit, but I don't think it would stun anyone to see Despi going through from his block and Hiromu going through. So Despi's B block and Hiromu's A block. I don't, that's not exactly a hot take to say them 2 will be going through. But then from the B block, Yo and Wato, that's pretty difficult to call between those 2. And then is Leo Rush in the same? I'm confused. I can't even remember what the blocks are. Which block is Leo Rush in? He's in A block.
In the same block.
So
yeah,
he's in A block. So I'm basically, my question to you, Damon, would be which 2 wrestlers do you think are going to go through from each block? So I think from A block, Hiromu and Ishimori and Rush. That's a coin flip for me. I'm going to say Leo Rush just because I think it would be more exciting than Ishimori. I would like to see Ishimori just sort of take a bit of a backseat. Although Hiromu has talked about how he wants to beat Ishimori because he was the champion. He didn't get pinned at Wrestle Kingdom. So that's really hard. I'm going to go Rush over Ishimori and then B block, El Desperado and Yo and Wato. That's a coin flip for me as well. I'm going to go with Wato Mania. So I would say Hiromu and Leo Rush from A block, and Despi and Wato from B block.
I'm in full agreement, except I don't know why, and I could be so off base. Wouldn't be the fucking first time. Do you think Robbie Eagles gets the win over Despi? That catapults him in?
No, I think
No.
I think they want to do Hiromu Despi in front of a cheering crowd because they've not done that. And I think that will be your Dominion match. I think it's going to be, I think, goal! Arsenal have scored. Wow, great
There
goal.
you go.
Wow, was not expecting that. So I think it's going to be Hiromu defending against Best of the Super Juniors winner Despi. I think Despi's going to win Best of the Super Juniors. In terms of the final, I think it will be Despi against...
Go ahead. Say it.
Hard. Watto. Wait, no, is that possible? They're in the same block, aren't they?
They're in the same block.
No, it's still possible. That could still happen, but this is very difficult. Okay, no, I'm gonna. I think I said before, Despi Leo Rush final.
Thank you.
Despi to win. Yeah.
All right, I'm on board with that because that's what I was leaning toward anyway. But I was kind of leaning a little bit with Robbie, but he'll let us down again.
Okay, here's a question. Andrew says, Thogoths, particularly Damon's, on Hiromu Kushida happening for the first time in 6 years as the semi-main event to Master Wato and Robbie Eagles in the small city of Morioka. So Morioka happens to be where Dick Togo lives if you want to blame him for old time's sake. So that is a shock. I thought Hiromu Kushida would be the main event from one of the bigger shows, but it's almost sort of hidden away on a nothing show on the tour. That is a shock to me.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it can't be great, but yeah, it does. You would think they would save that for something a little bit more special. Yeah, I mean it does feel underwhelming, but again, I don't know. Here's the thing. I think it'll still be great, but it does. That is an odd choice, to say the least, placing it there. So I don't know. I got to shoulder shrug that one.
So depending on when we next record, Damon, there will be 3 Best of the Super Junior shows happening. So we kick off this Friday in Korakuen Hall. So we're opening with Kevin Knight against Clark Connors, Taguchi against Ishimori, Bushi versus Dan Maloney, Kushida against Doki, Wato against Akira, Leo Rush against Sho, Yo against Robbie Eagles, Titan against TJP, and our co-main event will be Despi versus Kanemaru, which will be a very delicious match. And main event, Hiromu against Mike Bailey as our main event. Do you think this is a spot for Mike Bailey to get a shock win in his New Japan debut?
Yeah, I mean, look, you always know that in these tournaments, you always have a guy who, or a handful of guys that, kind of shoot out of the gate and then they stumble toward the end. I wouldn't be surprised, just to and especially night one, you're trying to wake people up to it. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's a really solid play. Like if there was a fucking online book to place a bet, I'm sure Bailey would go into it as an underdog, but that might be good money. I won't be surprised, Joel.
I think that would set up a possible title defense for Hiromu on Impact, maybe, when they do that. The next crossover show.
Speaking of no one seeing a show.
Well, if we're trying to stack up Hiromu, soft Hiromu defenses, there's one. That's very few people will see. And then Saturday in Nagano, we're opening with Kushida against TJP, which is one I was really looking forward to based on their interactions in the junior tag match. So I'm a bit surprised this is opening the show, but hopefully they got lots of time. Kanemaru against Dan Maloney, Taguchi against Leo Rush, Robbie Eagles against Clark Connors. That will be a good one, I think. Sho versus Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight against Akira. That one will be very, very good. Titan against Ishimori, Despi against Bushi, and our top 2 for Saturday will be Hiromu against Doki, which will be a crazy match. They've got tremendous chemistry. That one's going to be really good. And Yo versus Master Wato. So, yeah, that's, my coin flip between who's going to go through in that block. So I think that one will tell us a lot about how the block's going to play out. So Yo versus Wato, a sneakily significant match, I think, which other people might overlook, but I'm telling you, that's one to circle in your calendar that will maybe tip the hat one way or the other, and who could be the runner-up in this block.
I think this Best of the Super Juniors is legit one of the more exciting ones. Not even in a long time, but and that's not to knock other ones, but this, I am ready to go for this one. Every night, you're going to get something pretty great. Yeah, this is up there at least on paper. This is up there as one of the best ones. And here's the thing, I don't think there's enough buzz for it. I don't think there's enough hype for it. I don't think people are doing a good job of looking at that lineup and getting excited, because I'm telling you, every fucking night you're going to have a gem. Every fucking night. Just looking like even if they win at 50%, they would still be pretty good. There's going to be, this is going to be sneaky good. And I think, I don't know. I think people are going to be talking about some of these matches for a long time. I really do.
And we may record before this one, but I just want to quickly talk about the Aichi show. This will be Sunday, May 14th in the Nagoya Congress Center event hall, where we'll have Kevin Knight against Kanemaru, Taguchi versus Sho in a rematch of the brilliant banana match that they had in last year's Best of the Super Juniors. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that one. Bushi against Clark Connors, Doki against Ishimori, Robbie Eagles against Francesco Akira. Very excited for that one. That is going to be 100 miles an hour. That will be spectacular, I think. Kushida against Titan. Sneakily interesting, that one. Two pros, that one's going to be really good. Yo against Dan Maloney, TJP against Mike Bailey, and then our top two, Despy against Wato, which really looking forward to that. I've really enjoyed the chemistry they had together in their incredible tag match towards the end of last year. We're going to score again. Oh, no, he saved it. And main event, Leo Rush against Hiromu in a rematch from the great junior title match they had a couple of months ago. Was it a couple of months ago or last month? And that was difficult to pick as well, because I'd like to think that Leo might get a win there and maybe set up a future challenge possibly in the States. But so much unpredictability there. And I've just reeled off a few matches from the first three nights, and there's so much to sink your teeth into there. So can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It really is. It really is going to be awesome. And that means this is the time of year Taguchi wakes out of his fucking hibernation and decides to do some shit. So you might get something good out of him too. Look, up and down. I'm struggling to find the duds. I really am. I'm struggling to find the duds.
We have a question here from none other than the great Gideon Gray, who says, how excited are you to watch Wato eat a driller? We love you, Gideon. Big fan of the show. So, driller, Dan Maloney. That's his Dan Maloney. That's his move as well, the driller. So,
all right.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing Dan Maloney. I hear great things. I've not seen a huge amount of him apart from the odd Rev Pro match, but from people I know, like my good friend Sipsy, who follows the scene a lot, he's very, very excited to see Dan Maloney in Best of the Super Juniors. So I'm sure he's going to do you proud, Lord Gideon, and we're going to see good stuff from Dan Maloney. Let's finish off the show with Antonio's question. Are you ready?
I mean, what a joy. This is like getting a delicious dessert at the end of a meal. Let's do it.
And this is his question. So my question is this: something you guys touched last, which was NJPW, with the fact they are not doing well financially, to point they have to cut costs and the fat stuff, to not enter bankruptcy, and people moving to Noah other promotions because of how the product's been recently. So do guys think Bushiroad will sell NJPW because of those issues, like how Sinclair sold ROH to Tony Khan, to how you guys think they will sell and how they will fix those financial issues? What's your thoughts on my question? And if Bushiroad should NJPW sell or not? Thoughts.
What a dummy.
Sorry.
New Japan on the verge of bankruptcy, going to be sold. Who's buying them? How long have New Japan got left before they go into complete insolvency? And there's a flash that say, "Oh, we're through again! Come on,
Oh, put it in."
We've had 2 really good chances there. Yeah, I didn't know New Japan were about to go bankrupt. That's might have to. The podcast might be coming to an end. Might be the Supernova cast after a cyber agent buys up the company.
Let me be very clear, and in no way, shape, or form have there been any indicators, financial or otherwise, that New Japan Pro Wrestling is going to be bankrupt. In fact, they are solid as a rock, dare I say. I will say that there are plans, and those plans have been in motion for quite a few months of cost saving, which is a big difference between cost savings and financial peril. So to be clear, no bankruptcy. No one's selling it. No one's selling New Japan. No one is. It is not on the market. But yes, to say that there are cost-cutting measures in place, absolutely. Bankruptcy, no, we're not even close to that. So rest assured, you're fine when it comes to the financial situation of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
And also the Super J cast squeaks by the skin of its teeth, lives another week. That will do it for today. Let's wrap it up before Arsenal go through their inevitable collapse. So as we're recording and ending the show here, it's currently Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1. So let's end it on a high there. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to give some money for the legal proceedings I mentioned earlier in the show. A Discord link you can get by sending me a direct message on Twitter. There will be a fun competition on our Discord for Best of the Super Juniors, where there's going to be some hilarious booby prize for whoever gets the worst score in there. So you can look forward to that at Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast for our t-shirts. Big thanks to editor Dan, who's on Twitter at LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at the SuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.
Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins, and I want to tell you all about my show, The Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we do a thorough analysis on the biggest issues and trends within the pro wrestling industry. We talk a lot about pro wrestling media, we talk a lot about fan culture and wrestling's place within general pop culture, and we talk about the broader influences that are shaping the way we discuss and analyze the pro wrestling industry. We've had some of the brightest minds in the pro wrestling intelligentsia on the show, including WrestleNomics host Brandon Thurston, both Rich Craich and Joe Lanza from the Flagship Wrestling Podcast, Trevor Dame from the Through the Years podcast, and a whole lot more. This isn't a show for hot takes. It's not a show recapping the latest episode of television. This is a show focusing on the biggest topics in pro wrestling and doing a deep dive on the real stories behind the surface level analysis you might find elsewhere. The Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a try. Thanks.
Hello there, my name's Neil David and I'm the host of Eurograps Express, the podcast exclusively dedicated to the wrestling of Europe. If it's wrestling and it happens in Europe and it's good, we talk about it. Whether it's RevPro, Progress, WXW, Passion Pro, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling North, we don't care. We talk about them all. If it's good and it's exciting, I want to share it with you. We're on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Check us out on the feed. Check us out on Twitter at EuroGrapsEXP. And join us for chat about European wrestling and a little bit of chat about cheese. Hopefully see you there.